Hey everyone, it's Paul Hunter here, and this is 2 blocks from the White House in a country where everyone's talking about soccer and the FIFA World Cup. And guess what? Somehow Donald Trump is at the center of all of it. So today we're going to talk about how Donald Trump and politics and sports all are coming together and how Donald Trump, no matter what happens on the field, somehow manages to find a way to win. We got a great episode coming up. Let's join the conversation. Katie, Willie, did either of you catch Game 3 of the NBA Finals last night? Willie, there were no Habs involved. I'm not sure if you would engage.
That's the sport invented by the Canadian?
Did you watch Game 3?
I did not watch, but, I did wake up and check the score.
Okay, well, that counts. Katie, what about you?
They were close, but
they were close.
Couldn't win on home court.
Yeah, so I did watch last night knowing that we were going to have this conversation today, but also unrelated to what we're going to be talking about. I was actually just in San Antonio for a story that
Spurs land.
I was, and so the city is excited. I was warned that if the Spurs won while I was there, I was going to experience what's called a honking, where I guess they just all drive around honking their horns on their cars. I don't care what people, when I heard a honking, what do you mean? No, it's just people driving around the cars just nonstop laying on that horn. They did not win while I was there, but we saw what happened last night, right, Paul?
Yeah, and I mean, I admit I'm one of those idiots who watches the opening tip and then the last 2 minutes. So that was it for me. But, yes, Donald Trump was there. Spoiler alert, a lot of the fans anyway, were not thrilled. New Yorkers booed Donald Trump during the national anthem.
He could say he's a native New Yorker, but he doesn't live here, and he's kind of pooped on us for a while, and so I think this is our time, and he's distracting from our time.
I just feel like the president shouldn't be able to cause this much I don't think he should be able to stop this. I understand they taking heavy precautions because he's the president, and we got a lot of stuff going on in this economy. But I feel like as us Knicks fans, we need to enjoy this moment.
I love New York accents, let's just say. Look, I know you two have been busy. Katie, you were, as noted, sort of, you're at the Turning Point Summit for Women in Texas, and we will definitely be talking more about that in another episode. Willie, I see you're in Jerusalem, wondering where you've been these past few days in the office, reporting on conflict and peace talks. Very important stuff, all jokes aside. But look, this week it's hard not to talk about sports.
It really is. Between Donald Trump showing up at the NBA Finals and hosting a UFC fight this weekend, the FIFA World Cup 2026 also begins on Thursday. Canada, Mexico, and the United States are co-hosts. Team Kuzma, anyone?
This is the largest tournament in history. There are 48 teams competing, and like so much that is happening in the world right now, it is undeniably political.
The World Cup is the most watched sporting event here on planet Earth. So today we're asking, can Trump ride the World Cup wave? I'm Paul Hunter.
I'm Willy Lowry.
And I'm Katie Simpson. We are CBC's Washington correspondents, 2 blocks from the White House.
8 years ago, FIFA, that's the group that governs International Football Association events, announced that it had chosen the united bid from Canada, Mexico, and the United States to co-host the 2026 World Cup. Those were the days, hey? United. The Washington Post editorial board dubbed it the NAFTA World Cup. The idea was to show a united North America to the world. Katie, what's the vibe now?
It was so innocent then.
The salad days.
Oh, Donald Trump, was only threatening to, blow up the North American Free Trade Agreement. No, but so much has changed. The vibe now is, this is an example where both Canada and Mexico, as they are approaching the renegotiation of the three-way trade deal for North America, to show to Donald Trump and the United States that all 3 countries, when they work together, they can do hard things. They are better when they work together, and look at what a great success this can be. If things do go according to plan, if everyone has fun, if it's this huge economic success, all of those kinds of things. That's what we know the Canadian Prime Minister wants Donald Trump to take away from this. I expect it's a very similar situation in Mexico because all 3 countries need to come together. Well, at least Canada and Mexico are really pushing to come together, sort out their differences when it comes to trade negotiations, find a path forward to ensure that free and fair trade can continue. And of course, things are very difficult in this moment. It's not clear what path there's going to be. And if Canada and Mexico can demonstrate, look, this is a wonderful thing. We work so well together. Let's push this momentum toward the trade talks and, be friends again and all these great things, that maybe it could help boost their case. But you know what? Donald Trump cares about what Donald Trump cares about. Trade is going to be trade. Things change on a dime. So even if this goes amazingly well, everyone makes lots of money, everyone has a great time, who knows if it can sort of change the vibe when it comes to trade.
I mean, I agree is the short answer. I'm going to quote William Goldman. Know who he is? He's the Hollywood screenwriter who, among his other screenplays, was All the President's Men. He did a bunch of others in the 70s. And he once said of whether anyone can predict Hollywood box office successes, he said, no one knows anything. And I think that's where we're at now as to whether the World Cup or any sporting event that sort of ostensibly tries to bring countries together, improve the vibe, does that actually help where the rubber hits the old proverbial road, in this case, trade talks?
Yeah, I would just argue the timing of this is kind of wild. Obviously, this bid was put together probably a decade ago. It was awarded in 2018, but fast forward 8 years, and it's coinciding with the same time that the Kuzma USMC negotiation deadline hits. I mean, talk about adding intrigue to intrigue.
Doug Ford is in Washington this week as we speak. Dominic LeBlanc, the minister in charge of Canada-U.S. trade relations, was here last week in the run-up to the World Cup, I guess, in a weird coincidental timing, as you note, Willie. LeBlanc, I think, said his conversations were positive, but there's turbulence, right? So it's not like things are happy just because there's a big sporting event going on.
No, and you know what? I think things covering this, what's going on right now with sort of the renegotiation versus what it was like covering it when Trump first was elected and came into office and threatened to blow the thing up and went into the negotiations, all that kind of thing. It's so different this go around, because this go around, we've seen how Donald Trump really is the ultimate decision maker. There's no one around him that's necessarily shaping what he might do in the same way that it was in the first go around. And so it just adds that volatility, and it's just it's you really don't know what's going to happen until Trump makes up his mind. And so covering it is like, okay, all these little blips along the road are happening, but what matters until Trump makes a decision about what's going to happen? Something
I learned a long time ago covering politics is, every government has lower level people, ministers, secretaries, like secretaries of, as they call cabinet ministers here, who are at the pointy end of the stick in negotiations and talks. But the overarching question for everybody involved is, what does the boss want? And how does the boss feel about that? Because that's what we have to get done. Willie, you're in Jerusalem. So given that, there's, back to unity and united, not a lot of that among the hosts. And the primary host, the United States, is actually at war with one of the teams playing in the tournament, Iran. How's that playing out from your perch?
It is another really kind of wild development. This is the first time that we will ever see this at a World Cup, where the host country is, of course, at war with Iran. And it's adding a whole level of intrigue and drama to the event. There's questions around visas. The Iranians have had to move their training facility from Tucson, Arizona to Tijuana, Mexico. And here's something that's also potentially wild. They could meet in the first knockout round. If both finish second in their group, they're on a collision course, and they'd play July 3rd. I mean, that would be quite something.
That could happen.
Iran v. USA at the World Cup. It's happened twice before. Each side has won once. So maybe it's a best out of 3. Who knows?
On the
Katie,
eve of America's birthday, 250th
Oh, yeah,
birthday.
right.
seriously. Let's dive a little bit more into these, into the visa restrictions for the Iranian team. What exactly is happening? How are the Iranians being treated differently from, other countries?
So Iranian officials are accusing the U.S. of discrimination and malice with how this is all played out. They say members of the delegation have not been granted visas to enter the U.S., whether it comes to sort of the managers or parts of the delegation. They have their first match against New Zealand in Los Angeles. And as the team was sort of preparing to get ready for this, they learned that the players are only allowed into the U.S. the day before the match. So Iran says, look, not everyone in the delegation is going to get a visa so that they can enter the United States. They say that the team is only being allowed in the day before the match. Willie, you mentioned that originally they were supposed to be training in Arizona. That were sort of where they'd be set up as they go through this tournament. But instead, they have now in Mexico. Now, according to CNN, U.S. officials say that, the necessary visas, everyone who needs a visa has one, and that the team can still participate. But an official told CNN, quote, "We will not allow the Iranian team to abuse this system to sneak terrorists into the U.S. under false pretenses." And Marco Rubio has previously testified, saying that, Marco Rubio being the U.S. Secretary of State, he said that anyone who's linked to Iran's Revolutionary Guard can't enter. So that is what the Americans are saying. Iran argues that the Americans are trying to penalize or hurt or inflict malice upon the Iranian team. And it's that's sort of where the tensions are in this moment. Now, Paul.
So no politics at all, really.
Yeah, why would there be politics in anything? There's never politics in sport, right? Despite 3 countries hosting, Donald Trump has been front and center through this entire sort of lead up to the Cup. And a lot of it has to do with his relationship with FIFA's president, Paul. Tell us about that.
Gianni Infantino.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, look, Gianni Infantino, who runs FIFA, I think it's quite clear he learned a long time ago how to manage Donald Trump, or how to attempt to manage him, if that is possible. Look, there's some great reporting this week on all of this from our friends at the New York Times, who point out that FIFA's been renting like unused space in Trump Tower in New York for some time now. How many times have we seen the nice things that Infantino has said about Donald Trump, the nice things he's done to Donald Trump? Give him an invented peace prize, give him a trophy, give him a medal. Go to the premiere of the Melania documentary, right? Like, make everything smooth, make nice with Donald Trump, because there's a lot of money that can be made here, right? I mean, I think that's, let's be honest about it. That's the driving force in so much of what is going to be going on here the next little while.
I will tell you, when Donald Trump, went and accepted the FIFA Peace Prize, there has rarely been an occasion where I've seen him beaming more. Trump was happy to be.
In other words, this stuff works, right? He didn't get. It didn't work. It didn't work with the Biden administration, right? He tried, and it was cold shoulder stuff from the Biden administration. But he knows that this stuff, I want to say, works, or at least it appears to work with Trump. You talk about the immigration issues, Katie. That there's some suggestion. The question was, would fans, let alone players, but fans from certain other countries, would they have a hard time crossing into the United States for this? And the suggestion is, and it's unclear what the truth is, the suggestion is there's kind of like a nudge, wink, wink, immigration at the border, they'll look the other way because Trump wants this to go smoothly, because Infantino has done what Keir Starmer wasn't able to do when Starmer brought the invite to the king and tried to be nice to Infantino has seemed to understand how to make it work with Trump. And again, what's in it for Infantino, right? Money. What FIFA has long wanted to do is grow this sport into, if it's not the biggest market in the world, it's probably the United States. It's the most significant. This is a consumer-driven economy where people like to spend money. Mm-hmm. And if FIFA can explode soccer in this country, then it's a win for FIFA. And if We don't know what the goal of Infantino has been throughout this process, but certainly you wouldn't be wrong to take a guess that that's what it's all about at the end of the day. And so far, it seems to be working. Willy, speaking of money, price of tickets to see FIFA matches has also become kind of a hot button political issue here. How does this giant sports event jive with that word we've been using so often the last little while, affordability?
Well, Katie, I had been wondering why Uncle Paul hadn't invited us to any games this summer, and I think I figured it out. Tickets are really, really expensive. They are twice as expensive this year as they were in Qatar in 2022. I believe the cheapest tickets range from $100 to $300, but it goes up pretty steeply, pretty quickly. And it's not just the costs of the tickets. It's also the costs of transportation in New Jersey, which is hosting several games. The New Jersey Transit Commission is charging $98 to take people to and from the stadium. Normally, it would cost $13. Affordability is a major issue and a major kind of critique of those who are critical of this event. I should say sports in general these days are pretty much prohibitively expensive.
Everything is just so expensive when it comes to entertainment.
But it's driven
value.
by the resale market, isn't it? It's like that. The problem. It's not even a political thing in a sense. It's capitalism, right? It's like let the market decide. I mean, Trump. I think even on the FIFA tickets, Trump has said that I wouldn't pay that money. Notwithstanding the relationship that the FIFA has built with Trump, there's Trump saying I wouldn't pay that kind of money to go see one of these games, even though he will be going to I think we understand he's going to the first U.S. game at the end of this week. So but I'm guessing he doesn't pay for that.
Probably not. And Katie, how have the Democrats been able to capitalize on this moment in sport in the way that, we see at least Trump attempting to?
Yeah, I think we can take a look at what's going on in New York City and Mayor Zohran Mamdani. He is basically one of the most high-profile Democrats right now, even though he is a mayor. He is not running for election in the midterm elections. But he really is this high-profile, influential figure because, A, he can win, and he won on a sort of progressive campaign. And the Democratic Party right now is trying to figure out which direction it wants to go in and what are the messages it's going to be able to deliver in order to try and, gain some momentum into the midterm elections, that kind of thing. But what he's been able to do in New York City is he announced that the city secured about 1,000 tickets for games over the course of the tournament for New Yorkers at $50 per seat, plus free round-trip transportation to the games. There's a lottery system, but, it's going to give New Yorkers something exciting to sort of do, right? And as simple as it sounds, sometimes simple things like that go a long way. Because think about everyone who wins one of those $50 tickets, and he can say, hey, you're welcome. I secured this for you. And it's just as simple as that sounds. Sometimes the simple things just make for good politics.
I really like that perspective, Katie. I hadn't even kind of thought of that as a unifying action, but it is kind of fun to partake in a lottery, whether you win or lose.
Oh, you get excited. And, in New York City's no stranger to this. Like, if you go to Broadway and try to get a hot ticket for a show, by the way, I won lottery tickets to Hamilton with the original cast. I say that all the time because I just want to humble brag about that. But with the original cast and the tickets, because you won the lottery, it's like the Rush lottery. So they were $20 each. And
you're quivering.
I know. No politician was involved in that. So but anyway, so it's like something that brings people together, gets them excited. And it's simple. It's simple. Now, Paul, the New York City mayor, he's really used the Knicks playoff run to try to leverage some political gains. He's connected basketball to 3 progressive candidates that he is backing. And Trump has said that Knicks owner Jim Dolan, who's also a donor, has invited him to the game last night. A lot of politicians try to hop on these powerful bandwagons to get involved in it. In Canada, too, this is not unique to the United States. Is this typically a good political strategy? Can Trump recover from
From the booze last
from the
night?
booze last night?
Well, I mean...
Well, the Knicks lost last night.
Knicks lost, yeah. And by the way, I mean, as soon as, the crowd booed in that clip we played at the beginning, you could argue, well, are they really booing? But they were.
Oh, yeah.
But that was because Trump was up on the big screen. And as soon as he went off the screen and the Knicks players started, then they went back to cheering. And I think most people there just forgot that Trump was there, effectively speaking. I think sometimes we in the news make more of that stuff than people who are actually at it, but there were a lot of New Yorkers, you talk about Mamdani's approach in New York. Well, because of Trump's visit, that's why they had to close off the watch party outside, and that's what a lot of people were annoyed about. But, with Trump, I think he's always understood, because Trump was smiling while they were booing, right? Mm-hmm. He's always understood that old axiom that any publicity, good or bad, is at the end of the day is good publicity. You get your name out there, and look, Trump, when he won in 2024, when he came back, won the White House again. Man, you talk about winning the lottery, because not only the World Cup, which he gets associated with, no matter what anybody says about ticket prices or anything, he's got America 250 coming up pronto. He's got the 2028 Olympics. All of this on his watch. And it's all, at the end of the day, it's all good stuff. And so can Trump ride that wave, amid the booze? I mean, with Trump, again, all bets are off. You never know. But all publicity is good publicity, and Trump gets it.
My first reaction when I watched the clip this morning of the booing was, and how Trump reacted, because I thought it was a little awkward. His granddaughter that was there looking a little uncomfortable. But, I saw the TV producer that Trump is, and he knew, good or bad, this was great television, and people were going to be riveted to this. Yeah.
I am going to the UFC fight on Sunday to cover it. But we'll see how that goes. But who knows? Who knows?
All right. And we'll want that update next week, Katie.
Yeah.
That's it for today. Look, we got a quick audience question before we go. Tom Colleen in Toronto asks, quote, I know that the Kennedy Center is more than 2 blocks from the White House. Nice phrasing, Tom. Mm-hmm. But can you tell us whether or not DJT's name has actually been removed? And Katie, Willie, I did some investigative journalism today.
Oh, I'm so excited for you.
On the way to the Bureau.
I love it.
I detoured. That's what I do. I can't help myself. I detoured past, we'll just call it the center, and looked up at the facade, and Donald J. Trump's name is indeed still there. And then I did further research, if you can believe it. And a memo has now gone out. We've heard, his name has been removed from the website, but they've got until June 12th, apparently, to take it down. So I took some pictures, and they'll be saved for posterity.
Another quick update. I know that people have sort of been asking about this, about what is happening with Donald Trump's anti-weaponization fund. That is basically the $1.8 billion of taxpayer money that is supposed to go to people who feel like they were victimized by the past Biden administration, whether they were arrested, charged. It's mostly talked about in context of people who were arrested, charged, related to the January 6th attack on the Capitol. They could possibly qualify for compensation. It drew so much backlash on Capitol Hill, even from Republicans, that Todd Blanche, the man that Donald Trump wants to become the Attorney General, he distanced himself, telling lawmakers that it was dead. But here's the thing. Donald Trump likes the fund, and he keeps defending it, and he doesn't sort of put the final nail in the coffin. They're trying to say that a judge has, shut this thing down, but a judge has temporarily blocked it. But, if there's not a nail in the coffin directly from Donald Trump, where is it? If you have something you'd like to ask or feedback about what you're hearing, send an email to WashingtonPod, that is all one word, at CBC.ca. That's WashingtonPod at CBC.ca, or leave a comment for us on Spotify.
And if you like what you're hearing, spread the word, tell a friend about us, and follow us on your favorite podcasting app so you never miss an episode. Uncle Paul, do you have a favorite app yet? I keep meaning to ask you.
They're all my favorite, as you well know, Willie.
So diplomatic.
Thanks to you, too. We'll see you next time. Willie, get yourself back here. We miss you in D.C.
Fingers crossed next week.
Okay. Bye, you two.
Bye.
See ya.